LinkedIn GPT. So the idea of this is that it will get the LinkedIn public information which is available, right? And then pass it on to an LLM, which will then parse the information and give it back to us. The most prominent aspect of this tool is doesn't crawl LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn is strictly against crawling. So it doesn't crawl that. All it does is use some third parties to get the content, right? LinkedIn public content, right, which is not barred from being accessed, and then it crawls that and gives that information to us. And the idea of this came into my mind when I was working on a project in which I wanted to categorize the different companies into higher, into let's say big, small, and mid tier, and I was struggling to get the revenue, the employee count, etc., etc. So one thing which I got to know through ChatGPT that you could also use the LinkedIn followers of any particular company for the segmentation. And unfortunately, that data was also quite difficult to get because when I wrote a crawler which will crawl the Google for that information, it was banned by Google, right? So it was not very easy. So I thought, okay, let's do something. So let's say, okay, as it LinkedIn, okay, copy LinkedIn profile of Microsoft. And I'll explain as it works so that we can understand what is exactly happening. So first of all, this is the planner output. So LLM, this question goes to LLM, right? Now LLM then devices thinks of different search items which it needs to search, right? So the search queries are being generated by the LLM over here, and LLM over here is nothing but Azure Chat OpenAI, which I got for uh, out of free plan, right, from Microsoft Azure. So these are the search queries. Now, the most, not the most, but one of the critical tenets of this is using Tably, right? So Tably, what it does is, it first of all, these all search queries are being passed to Tably, which then simulates the process of searching it on Google. No? So it looked out for this particular search item, right? And these are the different links which it got, right? So these are the different links, and so corresponding to the second query, Microsoft Corporation LinkedIn page, etc. You see, so these are the different URLs which it got while searching for that, and it comes from Google. Okay? And then what we are doing is, these are a lot of LinkedIn URLs. We don't want to get the information for each of these. So what we would do is, and Tableau also does a terrific job of giving this information from Google itself. So these are the metadata which you see associated with any link or URL. So this is something which Tableau gives us. And then what I have done is I have also asked the LLM to filter the content. Not all the content which is there might be relevant for us. So what I'm saying is, go through the content of this and tell me how significant or irrelevant this particular link is corresponding to our query. Now our query was public LinkedIn profile of Microsoft Corporation, correct? And if you look into this, it is talks about Microsoft and all other things. So it is highly relevant, and therefore it's giving a score of 1. Similarly, it looks at the other LinkedIn profile, which is Microsoft job. So okay, 0.9, because this is also talking about Microsoft itself. Then the other aspect from Microsoft, okay, so it all tells us that what is the significance of this URL based on the content, right? Based on the metadata which it gets from the URL. So this is what it does. And because I didn't want to spend too much money, so I also said that, okay, so before I go to that aspect, we also used Firecrawl. So Firecrawl is nothing but another tool which will actually crawl any URL and then give the data to us. But because LinkedIn is strictly against crawling, so we are not using Firecrawl over here. Maybe in some next session I can take you through the usage of Firecrawl, but for the time being, Firecrawl is not too significant. So let's just leave it aside. Now the other thing is, you see, extracted pages summary. So what I did was, I didn't go through all these different pages which were there because I needed to save money, right? So what I did was, I then asked the LLM also to prioritize the links depending on the content, right? So it prioritized those links, and then it gave this information to us. Okay, so it crawled these all pages, and this is what it is giving us. What is this company is Microsoft. These are the different number of followers. These are the number of employees it has, right? So this is telling us that how big the company Microsoft is. Now the true beauty of this tool would lie if you want to compare it with a startup. So I would start with public LinkedIn Viven AI. So this is a company in which my friend Anurag Nilesh works. So I thought, okay, let's use this as an example. Okay. So now let's see what it does. So again, the same thing, LLM is generating all this output that, okay, this is what I would need to search. These are the search queries which are generated. Now the Tavily goes through, puts this all this on Google, right? Gets all these different URLs, which might or might not be relevant. So we are not depending exclusively on Tavily to tell us. We use our LLM to tell us how good or bad this link is. So it is telling score 1 because it's highly relevant, and as you would see that is directly fetching it from the company URL. Sorry, company page of the LinkedIn company page of the company. All right, so on and so forth. So point to be noted is I'm not crawling this, and either as of now I've not extracted the content, right, from this. It's just getting the content whatever was there in Google, and not yet it has not yet sent to LLM for the parsing. So eventually it found out, okay, this is a highly relevant page based on the content, right? All these are relevant, and now it will tell us what this company is all about. So we'll just wait for some time. It's taking some time. These are the different pages, right? And it should soon give us what the company is all about. Uh, this is where we are. So we asked what is the public LinkedIn profile of an AI company. It did all of that stuff which I already explained a few seconds back in the video, and then eventually it gave us that this is what the company profile is. So you could see that is in the technology, information, and internet. Followers is 176 and employees is 51 to 200. And if you compare it with Microsoft, that number is huge. So with that, you can try. You can find out that, okay, this is a startup versus another company such as Microsoft, which is a behemoth. So this is one of the indirect ways by looking at the employee count or by looking at the LinkedIn followers, you can gauge if a company is big or small, and then that use it for segmentation. So another positive aspect of this tool is not only for company, you can also try to find out what the public profile of any person is, right? So imagine you're a salesperson or a marketer and you are trying to reach or you're going to reach out to a particular prospect whom you have not interacted with. And if you want to find out the details of that person using LinkedIn, right? It can be, you can do that manually, but it is a messy affair. So you could use this tool for doing exactly the same thing. So let's say, I'll give my example over here. Okay, and also let me refresh this because I think the best performance is when I refresh it. So let's wait for that. And then I'll put it this. All right, so now let's see. The same process would be there. The LLM actually types the different queries which might be relevant. So this is what we are getting. And then Tably searches those links which might be relevant, right? So these are the ones, and then we use the LLM to actually go through the content, right? The metadata which is associated with that URL and give us how significant that particular URL is. So this is what this LLM is doing. You see, the significant score is 1 because this is the actual public profile of myself. But then when there is a post, right, it's saying the score is not too high. And you can customize this over here. I just said that if a particular person's profile is there, just give highest weightage to the profile and not to the posts, etc. All right. So fair enough. Fair enough. Now this is what's going to do. So we should see my profile coming up and the different details of that. All right, beautiful. So you see, this is the summary. This is the total number of followers. This is my LinkedIn profile. If you want to check this, we'll check this as well. All right, good. So this is me. And then this is LinkedIn profile. Let's read it. Artificial intelligence to the gap. This is what I would want to do. 18 follow 500 connections, professional overview, behavioral summary. Okay, so I've also included the different aspects that if you want to have cold call, 2-minute cold call with the person, what would you want to do? Okay, so you could use this as well, right? So I think this is pretty good. By intent signal is something which I would agree with. At the same time, it also tells you something about big five radar metrics and desk wheels. This has got to do more with the psychological analysis, right? So it tells you what are my interests, what are the certifications which I have done, what is the education I have gone through, and so on and so forth. And also there's a separate tab for cool call intelligence. So it says that you should have agentic pitches or overly technical jargon while talking to me, which I think is fine. And then, okay, this is the cool call script which you are getting. Okay, so this is something wrong. It should be 2 minute script, but that is more of a typo from my end. But you see how beautifully it does that, and you can also on top of it get the different links which it has called, and also the different searches items which it has gone through. So yeah, this is pretty much it, the LinkedIn GPT. So to summarize, this could be used for finding the public profile of any company, of any person. You can use it for comparing two different companies if you want to segment them, right? You could use this particular tool when you want to do the cold calling to a particular customer, or you are going to meet the customer for the first time as a sales rep and you would want to know what to talk about and what not, right? So yeah, this is pretty much it. Thanks, and let me know how do you find this video.